Hi friends and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hello. My name's George Agombar and I'm a UK music producer. When we're starting out, it's really important that we use the money we have in a way that's going to benefit us the most. Home recording can quickly become a very expensive hobby or a business that fails to turn a profit for a long time. In today's video, I'm going to be looking at choosing your first mic for those of you starting out. Or perhaps for those of us with a growing mic collection, what should our next one be? Or what can we do with those we already own?
And things will never be the same when I hear your name since you kissed me in the rain.
I've chosen 3 starter mics. All are considered adequate to get the job done with very acceptable results. But all are within the reach of most of us, especially if bought used. The 3 I've chosen are the Rode NT1. This is a large diaphragm condenser microphone with a very flat frequency response curve and a low self-noise. These can be bought for about £199. The Sontronics STC1. This is a small diaphragm condenser microphone with a presence boost of about 5 decibels. What's particularly useful about this mic is the pads and the filters built into it. Small diaphragm condensers tend to be fairly similar in price at this level of equipment. I bought this microphone as part of a matched pair from a local company for about £260. The SM57. This is a legendary dynamic mic with a fairly coloured acoustic response, but coloured in a way that has become a classic sound. New, these can be bought for about £86. Second hand, you can get one for about half this price, but beware of fakes. I'm going to be testing all 3 microphones on vocals, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and vocals and acoustic guitar together. We'll then talk about the other applications of them with drums, brass, keys, strings, and in live sound performances. I'm going to keep things very simple. All 3 microphones are going to be plugged straight into an audio interface and processed in Logic, and we can then listen to the raw recordings. At the end, I'll talk about which mic may best serve your purposes depending on what you intend to do when you're starting out. Please note that condenser microphones require phantom power. Dynamic microphones do not. And so if you're wanting to use a mixing desk as your audio interface, make sure it's got phantom power on before investing in a condenser mic. In a studio, the classic vocal microphone is a large diaphragm condenser. They are usually beautifully detailed, impart a pleasant colour on the vocals, and the physics of their design complements vocal techniques. But don't discount the pure and natural sound of a small diaphragm condenser, or the clarity boost of the SM57's frequency response. Here are vocal takes sung through each microphone.
Would you stay if I asked you to? Would you drop everything for me? Would you stay if I asked you to? Would you drop everything for me? Would you stay if I asked you to? Would you drop everything for me?
The large diaphragm condenser. The quality and the detail that this microphone gave us was absolutely brilliant. It picked up the nuances of the sound without the plosives and the sibilants being too present in the mix. It made the vocals sound warm and full-bodied. The small diaphragm condenser did actually surprise me. Again, we had that beautiful detail. If I were to say something, it would perhaps be that the plosives and the sibilants were actually a little too overpowering through this microphone. But this is something that we can fix in processing. It definitely gave us a more natural, bright-sounding vocal. And the SM57. It was okay. It got the job done and did what it needed to do, but it lacked the detail, the beauty, and the airiness that both condenser mics gave us. I would say if you're recording vocals, the large diaphragm condenser would definitely be my microphone of choice. However, I wouldn't really rule out using a small diaphragm condenser, especially if I wanted a brighter sounding vocal. The classic mic for an acoustic guitar is a small diaphragm condenser, and this is usually a part of a matched pair, with one pointing towards the bridge of the guitar and the other towards the 12th fret. Small diaphragm condensers are good at dealing with transients from plucking and strumming without colouring the sound of the guitar. However, we can use a large diaphragm condenser to record acoustic guitar by pointing it towards the 12th fret. A dynamic microphone is a little bit more tricky as it needs to be a lot closer to pick up any sound, but is still possible. The large diaphragm condenser. This wasn't too bad at recording acoustic guitar. It gave us a really nice level of detail. However, I will say that it gave the guitar a bit too much body and made it sound a bit boomy. But again, this is something that we can fix in processing. The small diaphragm condenser. This is the go-to acoustic guitar mic for a reason. It picked up beautiful detail and made our guitar sound bright and sparkly, which is just what we want. The SM57. Again, like with the vocals, it lacked that detail and brightness that the condenser mics gave us. However, I don't think that's necessarily too much of a bad thing when recording acoustic guitars, because it meant that string sounds and slides were less obvious, which I quite liked. So my go-to for acoustic guitar, without a shadow of a doubt, would be the small diaphragm condenser. But actually, I don't think you can go too far wrong using any of the three microphones. The dynamic SM57 is the go-to mic for electric guitar cabs. Its ability to deal effortlessly with high levels of sound and its enhanced mid-range makes it perfect for the job. We need to be careful when choosing where to place it to get the correct tone whilst recording. Most people choose to place the microphone towards the outer edge of the speaker cone, with or without some slight off-axis positioning. The SM57 is really good for electric guitar cabs in live performances as well. Condenser mics can also be used to record electric guitars, however they need to be placed a lot further away from the cabinet. The large diaphragm condenser. As with all the other recordings, the large diaphragm condenser really didn't fare too badly with the electric guitar. It gave us quite a nicely detailed, full sounding electric guitar sound. The small diaphragm condenser. I'm afraid to say that I really wouldn't choose a small diaphragm condenser for recording electric guitar. I just found that the sound it gave was far too bright and far too piercing for my liking. The SM57. This is where this microphone really came into its own. It gave us a great electric guitar sound with punchiness and that mid-range bite. I also really like how close I was able to put it to the speaker so that I didn't have to worry about the microphone picking up any unwanted room noise. I'd really say that this is the best of the three. You can't go wrong recording an electric guitar with an SM57. Sometimes it's better to record vocals and acoustic guitar together. There's something so special about a live take, whether it's the emotion, the slight imperfections that you get, or the immediacy of the atmosphere. A large diaphragm condenser is probably the best microphone to use in this situation because it complements the vocals, which are normally the most important aspect. But let's have a listen to all three microphones and see how they did.
Would you stay if I asked you to? Would you drop everything for me? Would you stay if I asked you to? Would you drop everything for me? Would you stay if I asked you to? Would you drop everything for me?
The large diaphragm condenser. This was definitely the best of the three microphones. It made the guitar and the vocals both sound luscious and beautiful, and it had a really nice level of detail. It had quite a big pickup pattern, and so I was able to position it quite easily and get a good balance between the vocals and the guitar. The small diaphragm condenser. Again, this was a bit of a dark horse. It worked a lot better than I was expecting. I thought that it would be quite hard to get the microphone to pick up the right level of vocals and guitar because it is quite directional, but actually that wasn't the case, and so I'm quite happy with the final result from this microphone. The SM57. I'm afraid to say this microphone was really far from ideal in this situation. Because you have to be so close to the mic to pick up anything, I found myself crouching to try and get closer to the microphone, which was not good for my performance or for my back. So I'd say that if you want to record vocals and acoustic guitar together, maybe consider getting a condenser microphone instead of a dynamic. So far, I've essentially talked about the home singer-songwriter examples, but which mics are best suited to recording the other elements of the band? If you play brass, then you can probably get good results from each type of microphone. However, in a live situation, the SM57 or a dynamic microphone would definitely be recommended. Piano and strings are probably best suited to condenser microphones. Keyboards and basses are best being DI'd straight into a desk or into your interface. Drums are a tricky one. The range of frequencies on a drum kit, the transience of snares and toms, and the shimmer of cymbals means that a combination of several different dynamic and condenser mics would be ideal. Being a drummer is an expensive profession. It is possible to record a kit with a single microphone, but it is very much a compromise. YouTube is full of videos about the SM57 technique, and so if you only have one microphone available to you, this would probably be your best bet and could also be used to help reinforce the sound in a live situation. As I hope you can see, all three microphones are valid choices and do a decent job in most circumstances. It really depends on what your primary aims are. If you're very much a home producer and based in your bedroom, you're really focused on the sound of your vocals and MIDI in your instruments, then I would say your best starting point would be to get a large diaphragm condenser. If you're an acoustic guitarist and really want to make your guitar sound beautiful and show off your skills, then your best starting point would be a small diaphragm condenser. And if you think that you're going to be doing lots of live performances as well as recording, then your best starting point would definitely be a dynamic microphone, and you really can't go wrong with an SM57. The large diaphragm condenser is normally found in starter kits with interfaces, and it's a good, safe choice, but it's not the only choice. The small diaphragm condenser, in my opinion, is often overlooked. It's not the conventional choice for a starter microphone, but the options for pads and filters that are commonly found in these microphones make them extremely versatile. It's not one to sniff at. Personally, I have a bit of a soft spot for the SM57. It's rugged, it's well built, and it can be used for nearly everything. It's cheap, it doesn't require phantom power, and it can be handheld. To my mind, it's a great starter mic because it gets you going. And when you get a second microphone, you will never, ever, ever regret owning a 57. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you found it helpful and useful and interesting. Let me know what you thought in the comments below and if there are any other videos you'd like to see in the future. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell for new videos every Wednesday, and I will see you again soon.